Hello, my beautiful, lovely people. Welcome back to another video on Let's Heal Together. So this is series 10. We in series 10, and as I stated before, when we just did the last video, I just did the healing scripture was on singles. So today, like I said, married couples, I'm going to leave you all out. So today we're going to do the healing scripture verse on today, marriage. Marriage, yes, marriage. So we're going to do the healing scripture on marriage, and I got some notes that I'm gonna share with you all. I hope you all can hear me because I'm recording from my laptop. I ran out of storage space on my phone, so I had to record from my laptop. So I noticed in my other video it was kind of a little low, it was going in and out, and so I got the earpiece in, and so I'm gonna try to talk as possibly as I can because like then I got my fan, I got it on low, playing in the back, blowing in the back. So I'm gonna try to talk as loud as I possibly can so you all can hear me. So you won't be like, "What is she saying, Melissa? Does she know she talking low?" Okay, y'all, but I don't know. My laptop, I checked the volume and it's all the way up. So I'm going to try to talk as loud as I possibly can. And then I'm trying to put the other earpiece in so y'all can hear me. So now I got both of them in. Okay. So, like I stated, the healing scripture is on marriage. It's on marriage. And the first verse is coming from Ecclesiastes 4 and 9. And it reads, "Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor." And the next verse is coming from Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25. And it reads, "Husband, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it." The next verse is Mark 10 and 9. "What therefore God has joined together, let not man put us under." And Colossians chapter 3, verse 18. "Wives, submit yourself unto your own husband, as it is fit in the Lord. And the next verse is 1 Peter 4 and 8, where it says, "And above all things have charity among yourself, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins." And the last verse is Ephesians 4 and 2. And it reads, "With all lowliness and meekness, with longsuffering and forbearing one another in love." Ephesians 4 and 2. So these are the healing verse scriptures for today on marriage. And so I just want to share some notes with you all because I know some of y'all might say, "What can Melissa tell us if she never been married? What can she tell us?" Besides share healing scriptures with us, and she never been married. So, like I stated in my other video, I never been married, but I came close to being married. And while I was going through the process, doing the process of my engagement, I was working on this job. I was working at the daycare center at the time, and so I never been married before. But I wanted, I was kind of scared. I didn't know what to expect. Okay, what am I getting myself into? I'm going to get married, and I know like I see my mother and I see different ones they married, but I'm looking like, okay, what is gonna happen? Like this, I'm gonna be this whole new person. And so God did, and I did pray. That's why I'm gonna say before I say this, before you get advice from anyone, pray first, and God will lead you to the person to go to. So I did pray first, and two of my coworkers, and they was like older women. And so one of them, I worked with her. Like we was co-teachers. I worked with her, and she shared. I just shared stories with her. I was talking to her, leading all the way up to when we was dating. We was coding to when we got engaged, and I would share stories with her, and I would tell her like, I need some advice, and she did tell me. She said, "What are you scared of? Like, why are you afraid?" And she was telling me, marriage can be a blessing. So I took what she gave me. So then another one of my coworkers, I asked her, and her story was hilarious. Her story was hilarious is because she went to detail. She told me, she was like, same thing. She told me, like, marriage could be a blessing. And then she went into details and she told me, like, the day, like, her honeymoon. Her honeymoon. And I just thought it was so funny because it was the day of her honeymoon. It was their honeymoon. And she told me, like, on that honeymoon, she was just like, she was so funny because she said she was sitting in the room and she said she had her wedding dress on and her husband got to playing at her little dress. And she was like, she said she turned around to him and she said, "What is you doing?" She said, "What is you doing?" And she said, like, he was looking at her like, you don't know? Like, you don't know? This is our honeymoon. You think you just want to sit here in your wedding dress? Oh my God, y'all! I just thought that was so funny. It was the funniest. People have given me advice, but she was hilarious. That was hilarious. She said he was just playing in her dress, like, you think you finna just sit here? So I was like, whoa, I was cracking up. So, but I just want to say that, like I stated, I never been married, but I came close. But what I have done was I sat around people that was married. I got to sit around people that was married and watch them, and I took notes. My older sister, she always told me, take notes, take notes. So I'm a good note taker. I was taking notes in different married people, like in my church, in my home. I just watched them, and even some like there's some like I'm not gonna say all of them, but there's some in my church like I admire. I admire, their marriage union. I just admire, how they work alongside each other. They help each other. They like a team. I just admire them. And so one of the people, I think I got three on here. It's some more, but I don't want to name them all. So one of the people that okay. So one of the people that I admire is my senior pastor. My senior pastor, and he's like an older man, but his wife. I love how she just, she's like an awesome, phenomenal helpmate. I love how she just work alongside him, how she help him, how she assist him. I just love it. I sit at church and I just be watching her, helping him. She take care of him. And I just be like, wow, like that is so beautiful. Like how she just, help him and she just be catering to him. I'm like, that is so beautiful. And so it's different ones I watch in the church and I see him looking like, that's a wow. And then there are some I look and see and I be like, okay, like I see they going through some little marital bliss right there. But I just take notes and I just be wow. And so then there's another person that I admire, in my church, is my pastor. So we have a senior pastor, and then we have a pastor. And so my senior pastor, he's still like the overseer of my pastor. And so my pastor, I admire him and his wife. And some people, they call them, they be teasing with them and calling them Michelle Obama. And so I just admire them, how they work with each other like a team. I just admire them. It's because sometimes he be sitting up there and he's giving the announcement and he might forget something. He'd be like, what was it? What was it? And she just comes. She come with her phone and she held the rest of the announcement on her phone. He was like, oh, thank you, dear. Thank you. And I just love that. I'm looking like that's teamwork. Like they said, teamwork make a dream work. And I just love how they just come together as a team. Like she see, her husband, he up there and he might have forgot something and she like, let me help him out. And so I just love that that's how it's supposed to be because, when, we're supposed to be a helpmate. You're supposed to be a helpmate to your spouse. You're supposed to work as a team, working, in unity. And so I just love it. I love it. And I'm just be taking notes. I'm looking like, oh yes, I look. They marriages. So I'm like, oh, it's just, oh, that's a blessing. And so the other one is my mother. My mother. May she rest in peace. My mother and my father. And I love my mother. She would go above and beyond the stuff that she did. The stuff that she did, for my father and the entire family, my siblings. Like my mom, she was man, she was like just phenomenal. She had my father and then us. She cooked, making sure the house was in order. She held it down. She held it down all the way until my father, he had a heart attack and he had passed away, and still she was still grieving his loss, but she still held the house. She still held it down. So I just thank God for blessing me, with the parents that I had, and watching my mom and watching my dad, and just taking in, just taking notes. And I do want to say, like, they did. I do want to say that they did have, like, everybody marriage it ain't perfect. Some people gonna have their ups and downs. So there was times that my mom, my dad, they would have like their ups and downs, but she stayed faithful. She stayed faithful all the way to into his death, like they say. Um, Until death do you part. So she stayed faithful, she stayed faithful to her marriage all the way until, to death. So he passed away. And so that I just want to say, I thank God. I thank God for my mother, and watching her, how she took care of the house, and making sure we was taken care of. And then sometimes if there was things that my dad he need help with, like if he need help with like with the bills or something, she was there. She was there to help him. She was there to assist him. So um, I'm just reading my notes. So, like I stated, there are so many other married couples in my church, and then in my family, like my brother and they wife. I just be taking notes. And sometimes I would say, "Oh, I want a husband just like my brother. I like how my brother just take care of his household." So many, like I said, I admire them, and I just be taking notes, be writing down, like, okay. So I just want to say, like, if you're single like me, and if there's someone in your family, church home, neighbors, whoever, you see them and you admire their marriage reunion, when you get the chance, take some time and just ask them questions. Ask them, like, ask them to say, uh, what advice can you give me, a person that's, a person that desires to want to be married one day? What advice can you give me? And you just sit there and you just soak in, you just take in the wisdom that they share with you, whatever they share with you. So when the time do come for God to send you your godly spouse, I'm gonna say your godly spouse, godly, because he said we're not supposed to be unequally yoked with the yoke of bondage, So you want to pray that God send you a godly spouse. God send you a godly spouse. And so just ask, don't be afraid to ask them. Just ask them, say, and I just, I admire, watching you and your husband, or watching you, I admire your marriage union. What advice can you give a person like me that's, that desires to be married one day? And you just sit down and just take notes, because that's all I've been doing. All I've been doing on this singlehood journey, I just been taking notes. Taking notes, so when the right time comes, for God to send me my godly spouse, I them words of encouragement, wisdom, they just just come back to me like, okay, I remember such and such told me this, they told me that. Don't be afraid to sit down and ask people that you admire. Ask them for advice. Don't be afraid, because I'm telling you, if it had not been for like I said, the lady, my co-workers telling me that, Now that honeymoon part, oh my God, that tickled me. That just had me laughing. It's because it seemed like something I would do. It seemed like something that I would just be sitting there like, what you doing? Like, what you doing? What you doing? You know, even after you done waited that long, that's just something like, what is you doing? Like, bruh, why is you playing with my stress? Let me stop, y'all. I know I'm making y'all laugh. Let me stop. But yeah, so I just want to say, you know, you all, like on today, the healing scripture verse on today is marriage. So, like I stated, even though your girl never been married, I came this close. But I know some things, you know, watching my brothers and they wife some things, and watching other people. Still, like I say, some people some people marriage it ain't perfect. You know, what you might see them in public, you don't know what's going on behind doors. And so on today, on today, I just encourage you that whatever it is that you might be going through in your marriage, you might be dealing with your marriage. You might say, okay, well, my marriage ain't all that perfect. We have little ups and downs. So whatever them ups and downs, you're taking off those layers. You're taking off those layers of ups and downs. You're taking off those layers of not being able. You're not, you know, you don't communicate. You're taking off those layers of maybe unforgiveness. It might be something that your spouse said or done, and you say, you know what, I never told him I forgive him, or I never told her I forgive her. You know, whatever little flaws is that you see with your spouse, you're taking off those layers. You're getting healing. Say, you know what, Lord, heal me. Lord, heal me and heal my spouse. Heal my spouse with her flaws. You know, heal his flaws. Heal them, Lord. Because I see these flaws they have, but Lord, heal them. I'm asking you to heal them on today. Make us one again. And it's like the day when we came before you and we became one. Make us one. Make us one again. Make us be in unity again. So we're taking off the layer of. Then we want to take off the layer of not being submissive. We want to take off the layer of not being. We want to take off the layer of not being submissive to our spouse. You know, sometimes your spouse, because I'm not even gonna say me. I ain't been married before yet. So you want to take off the layer of not being submissive to your spouse. If your spouse have asked you to do something for them, you know, might ask you, you know, just something little, might ask you, sweetie, can you help me with the apps on my phone? And you might have, you know, got an attitude or roll your eyes and say, him and his phone, him and these apps, you know, you want to, let's take off a layer of unsubmissive, not being able to submit to your spouse, you know, when he asks us to do something, you know, pray to God, Lord, heal me in this area, you know, because, you know, I haven't been submissive to my spouse, you know. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye. Some days I'm looking at him and rolling my eyes, or some days I'm looking at her and I'm rolling my eyes. So let's just take off a layer of unsubmissive. Take off a layer of not being able to communicate. You know, sometimes some spouses they don't know how to communicate to each other. That's one of the things that God been working with me on because my last relationship. And so one of the things God been working with me on like communication. You know, when you get your next one, you know, just communicate more. Being able to communicate. Don't expect that they can read your mind because your spouse like they can't read your mind. So some things you're gonna have to tell them. You know, this is how I feel. This is what I'm going through. Or this is why I did this, or this is why I did that, or this is why I'm mad. This is why I'm upset. You know, don't expect them to be a man. You know, don't expect them to be a mind reader because they're not. You know, so communication, like they said, communication is the key. And so, like the last one is not being faithful, not being a faithful helpmate. I talked about this a little earlier. Not being a faithful helpmate. Like I said, he might ask you to help you with the app on his phone. Or he might ask you, can you help me with my doctor's appointment, sweetheart? And you got an attitude and you roll your eyes and you say, why this man can't make his own appointment? Why this man want me to ask him to make call his barber and make a hair appointment? You know, you know, sometimes we women we get a little attitude, we roll our eyes and stuff. You know, ask God to help you with that. Lord, help me with that. You know, help me to be the helpmate that you want me to be to my spouse. I want to be a better wife. I want to be a better husband. And so, let me see, is that it? So, I pray that you all was blessed by the healing scripture verse on today on marriage. I encourage you, beautiful, lovely people, like I stated, you know, if you're single like me, you know, sit around married couples, and just take notes. Just take notes because you don't want to get into the thing and then you be like, oh, I wish I would have asked somebody about this. Oh, I wish, you know, just take your notes so you already know. Because remember, you're in training. You are in training, Doctor. You are in training as you like this. The prayer that I read to you all in the singles video, where it says, as I wait expectation for my mate, as you're waiting expectation for your mate, you're in training. You're training, meaning God is watching you. God is watching and seeing. He already told you what you need to work on. You need to work on cooking. You need to work on cleaning. You need to work on, help, paying your bills on time. You know, so many things you need to work on your attitude. You need to work on this. So you are in training. So you getting prepared. If you're desiring to have a spouse, you are in training. You're in training. And so for those of you might say, well, Melissa, I ain't thinking about that. I don't want to be married. That's fine. That is okay. But still, you are in training. If you just want to stay single, you are in training. Keeping as a woman, as a godly woman, keeping your house in order, keeping it in order. So, that's all I have for you all for now. But I pray that you all was blessed by this message. I pray that it's helped you. These scriptures that I've been sharing, I pray that it's been helping you. Whatever it is that you're going through. Like I stated, this is just some nuggets from from my noonday prayer, my church. We're having a prayer summit next month, and so these are just some scriptures that we're gonna pass out. And like I said, when she gave me the topics, I was like, wow! I was like like 13 topics, and so I was up day and night, and I was just going through the scriptures, just writing, just typing up verses to go with each topic. So I pray that it bless you as well as it bless me. But until next time, it's your girl Melissa.